Friends, hello. Well, here comes the response. Instantly, the speed with which the Kremlin loses friendly countries is amazing. In Azerbaijan, in response to the actions of the security forces towards the Azerbaijanis in Yekaterinburg, they held their own round dances. The Azerbaijan Foreign Ministry published this video of Russians detained in Baku. It is reported that they are allegedly members of an organized crime group. If you look closely at their faces, the detention was quite harsh. But who do we see in the footage? The first person who walks by. He has already been identified. He is an IT specialist. And in general, it is unlikely that all the others are really organized crime members. Of course, you can't judge by appearance. But these scared boys in colorful t-shirts look more like IT specialists than organized crime members. You can tell from their faces that they have never held anything in their hands heavier than a spoon. But Azerbaijan, apparently, is tired of tolerating the antics. The story of the downed plane has not died down yet. Now this story has thundered, and Azerbaijan feels that the attitude in the international arena has changed towards the geostrategist. He showed the whole world what his show-offs and crooked fingers were worth, and now we will see a reciprocal attitude, which was not so sharp before. He outplayed everyone. If someone in the world really had the task of setting Russia against its neighbors, maybe not with its allies, but with its partners, then no one could do it better than competent managers. If the idea of the New World Order was to make neighbors turn away from Russia, then everything is logical. The goals are being achieved very effectively. And then there is good news. It is, of course, not good enough, but good. Kuzugit's former deputy was sentenced to 13 years in prison and a fine of 100 million rubles for embezzlement. He was also charged with accepting bribes. Agree, it is nice to see people plundering the country behind bars. I am not gloating in any way, but thieves should sit in the dock. These are the real traitors of the country, and the bloggers who talk about these thieves. But it would be even nicer to see the main thief in the sunny Netherlands. I have champagne for such an occasion, but it has already gone flat, and in Ishhezk there has been a commotion since the morning. The thing is, Putin was hit in the dome. UAVs attacked the Ishhezk electromechanical plant Kupol. It was very loud there since the morning. Judging by the footage, the plant was attacked by drones called Lyut. Experts suggest that Ukraine has modernized these drones, and now they can fly about 1,300 kilometers. And this is just for understanding almost everything that is up to the Urals. And what is after the Urals, as you remember, arrived there on wheels. Now admire this. What a shame. In Moscow, pensioners started a real fight for free mats for training and yoga in Luzhniki. And many of the pensioners present did not even plan to exercise. It's just that when the distribution started, they started a fight. What a disgrace it is. Pensioners of an oil and gas power are ready to tear each other apart for $10 mats. And all the while, they don't even need them. It's not even buckwheat with sausage. People who scream about greatness, about new lands, about how they receive the best education in the world. They are all so united, cool. And these savages, they are the same people. ZD bloggers, meanwhile, continue to speak the truth. Anastasia Kashevarova. This is not an opposition-minded citizen. She is a Zaputinka to the marrow of her bones. She tells how prisoner exchanges really happen. It's not that simple for prisoners from the DPR and LPR. Many still have Ukrainian passports, and in captivity they again go over to the Ukrainian side. Frequent cases of betrayal. As I was told in the Ministry of Defense, there are unofficial instructions to return Russian soldiers from captivity first. Accordingly, the lists are compiled so that our paratroopers and guardsmen are the first to be exchanged, and only last of all are those mobilized into the People's Militia of the DPR and LPR. Residents of Donbass from among those who decided to fight for the Russian world. Of course, we do not abandon our own. But there is a nuance. At the same time, the State Duma says that they are not going to restore even the Kursk region, not to mention Donetsk, Lugansk and so on. Sudzansky district and the city of Sudza, of course, suffered catastrophically. Colossal destruction. It is unlikely that anything there can be restored. It is clear that there are villages where there were, say, 50 people, 150 people. And it is unlikely that anyone will return there. Well, no. There's probably no point in restoring them. That's why we need to make basic villages. We need to make basic schools. We need to make basic cultural facilities. Well, look, there were 18 schools in court. I'm absolutely sure that we won't build 18 schools. That's for sure, because the schools were already understaffed, and it would be easier to organize transportation of people, to make central schools, say, a town. Well, maybe we'll build one large comprehensive school per city. Depending on how many people return there, we'll restore Donbass. It will be even better, the patriots shouted. But in reality, so to speak, even in the originally Russian and Kursk regions. They are not going to restore some of the settlements. And listen to how he reasons. And there are villages with 150 people. That is, villages with 150 people are no longer villages, and the people who live there are not people, they are not citizens. People have lost their homes, and now they will be relocated somewhere. It is not clear where. And what next? The big question. And what is the shuttle service to the same schools that she is talking about? Do you want to tell me about my personal experience? I was a schoolboy, and I know that the teachers of my school, who vote for Putin, are watching me now, and they know perfectly well what I am talking about. So, yes, I really have encountered this. When you need to get up early, in the cold, in the frost, on uncleaned roads, in snowdrifts, in winter it is especially unpleasant to climb into an icy Pasak bus with icy seats. Girls in tights, in skirts, also on the same seats. Hello, cystitis and shaking. First there, then back in the evening, and it does not matter that your lessons ended at 12 o'clock. And the parallel class at 4 o'clock, and you are stupid all day in this school and do not know what to do with yourself. And this is in an oil and gas power, where the son of the head of one of the regions has a watch worth $500 million, and it is unprofitable to maintain schools and restore small settlements. Watches worth $500 million are profitable, but people are unprofitable. But for some reason, Putin supporters cannot understand the direct connection with the Ukrainian people, but they will probably understand sooner or later, although it is not a fact. When some competent manager throws this very crowbar into the toilet on the train, then everyone will understand. I'm not talking about the train now. In Khakassia, a soldier held a picket. He spoke out against the abolition of village councils. And I already told you that something similar is happening in Altai. Abolition. The Kremlin wants to take complete power into its own hands in the republics, because the overstayers simply do not like it when people can still decide something. Well, and so he declared that power was not given to go against the will of the people. The people should hear their voice, not live their own life, and the republic should light its own. Wendell probably wanted to know. Or maybe you have some suggestions on how to make suggestions on leave everything as is. Let the people be elected and restore order there and work for the good. Yeah, and you, it turns out, for becoming members of the panel? Yes, of course. You have a name and are happy with everything. And what will happen on the territory? That doesn't bother them anymore. We need to live in the same era with the people. So I'm against it. We'll decide. A person who understands that this government does not live at odds with the people, but simply fills its pockets. And the person who protects this government, it's one and the same person. Amazing. Meanwhile, the Trump administration has begun to open its eyes even more. Of course, judging by everything, it's like a duck on the seventh day. But the statements are sounding more and more radical. Trump's special representative accused the Kremlin of dragging out, so to speak, the process, and they referred to Orul. I quote Trump's special representative Kelb. The Kremlin has started to justify the delays in the Ukraine negotiations in the spirit of Orul, blaming Kyiv and Washington for this. Russia's claims that it is the US and Ukraine that are delaying the peace talks are unfounded. We call for an immediate ceasefire and a transition to trilateral negotiations to end what is happening. But, you know, I still disagree with the American administration a little. Where Orul studied, our competent managers taught. And now there will be just a bunch of amazing news. Sit back comfortably. The Ministry of Finance has proposed to increase duties for car owners 2 or 3 times. The hole in the budget has already reached 3.4 trillion rubles, and the Ministry of Finance is trying in every way to plug this hole. What do you think they will plug it with? Maybe with the income of Miller, Sechin and other Kintushki. No, as I said earlier, they will plug it with the citizens. And so, competent managers decided to sharply increase the size of state duties for motorists, and this, believe me, is only the beginning. It is also worth mentioning that one of the industries in Russia is collapsing like a house of cards. Other industries will also grab it over time, but the coal industry began to collapse faster than the others. In Kuzbass, a mine that employed almost 1,000 people stopped working due to lack of money. We are talking about the Spiridonovskaya mine, and, so to speak, it was the end. It is a matter of time that industries will gradually collapse. The construction industry will eventually leave the chat, I think, and this, like a snow computer, will entail many more things. Moreover, the largest metallurgical plants, the Chelyabinsk electrometallurgical plant, will switch to a 4-day work week from September 1st. It is easy to guess why. Yes, clearly not because life is good. The Chinese brother, like that Vaska who listens to the train, began to squeeze Russia out of Cuba at the same time. China is strengthening its economic presence in Cuba, squeezing out Russia. Against the backdrop of the energy collapse on the island, China plans to implement 55 new solar energy projects. And while one grandfather enjoys the action, The Chinese are establishing their world order piece by piece, but at the same time, there is reason for optimism. True, we are not talking about Russians, or rather, about Russians, well, literally about those who can be counted on the fingers. The richest Russians have become even richer since the beginning of the 25th year. Their wealth has grown by $24.5 billion. The richest turned out to be this scruffy-cheeked strongman, the president of Norilsk Nickel, Vladimir Padinin. Since the beginning of the year, his wealth has grown by almost $4 billion. As I said, Putin's buddies will not remain in the red. They will continue to get richer. Admire what the guarantor is doing at this time. I looked. There are guys training behind your back. Yeah, football player. See, you see? I see what, they're doing, pumping up their abs. It would be better to put your hands behind your head and not just lift yourself up. Please, tell them, it would be better to give a master class on how to properly enrich your friends, and the guys will figure out the abs themselves. But with all this, against the backdrop of the statement of the State Duma deputy that they are not going to restore the settlements in the Kursk region, he talks about the unprecedented restoration of Donbass, or enshrined in the program of socio-economic development of our historical territories reunited with Russia. We are obliged to solve all the tasks outlined here in full. By 2030, the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics, the Kherson and Zaporozhye regions must reach the average Russian level in all key indicators and, of course, in the quality of life of the people. Residents of the named regions, you should think about it. It just sounds like a threat. He has already brought order to the original Russian regions. He built a bridge in Yakutia, a railway in Tuva, and many other things. So he will raise the standard of living. Where will you be trying to get to later? And one more amazing piece of news. Pulkovo Airport now charges residents 500 rubles per person to enter the smoking area. Everyone has seen Chapolin's cartoon, so this is a tax on air, the beginning, and I am not saying goodbye. Mikey Borshka is the progenitor of AI toys created using artificial intelligence and existing fairy tale characters, who buried copyright once and for all.